Hi everyone, Robin here. Thanks for joining me today on the Poppystamps blog. Well, by now, Thanksgiving is just a memory and it's on to Christmas. For today, I have a Merry Christmas Gingerbread Tag card to share with you. I use the Little Gingerbread Boy and Little Gingerbread Girl die sets to create my card, along with the holiday hats which fit perfectly on the gingerbread kids. To create my background, I started with a light blue cardstock and the Tiny Dot stencil from Memory Box. I taped my stencil onto the cardstock using some painter's tape. I usually use the green frog tape because it removes quite easily. The modeling cream I'm using today is from Viva and it's a pearlescent white color. It doesn't take much modeling paste and you do try to spread it as evenly as possible, creating as thin a layer as you can. Any excess modeling paste you may have can be easily scraped back into the jar. Once done, remove your stencil and there is your background. Looks like shimmery falling snow. Just be sure you wash your stencil and spatula as soon as possible. For the background of my Merry Christmas tag, I'm using one of these stitched Main Street tags from Poppystamps. It coordinates perfectly with the Merry Christmas tag. I cut the Merry Christmas tag twice, added spray adhesive to the back of one, and layered the two together. I like that dimensional look you get when you put a couple of layers of cardstock together. Here you can see how well it coordinates with the stitched street tag. I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to the back and added it to my background. As always, I have something flat and somewhat heavy to help it dry flat. I used red cardstock to create a top folding A2 size card base and a snowflake embossing folder for my top panel on my card base. I'm just going to glue the snowflake panel onto the card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch on all four sides. Again, I'm using my acrylic block to help it dry flat. For my pine boughs, I'm using the Perfect Pine Needles die. I have cut the pine needles from two different colors of cardstock. I think that adds a bit of dimension. To create the look of frost on the pine boughs, I'm using some Nuvo glitter and I'm just kind of flicking it onto my pine boughs. Nothing real specific here, it's pretty easy to do, and once dry it gives a very nice effect. I did that on both of the pine bough die cuts. I created a red bow using the Prim and Proper bow die. I then added my bow to a piece of scrap paper using a tiny bit of tape runner, just to try to hold it in place while I put some Wink of Stella on. Once my pine boughs were dry, it was time to put them together. Just a little bit of glue in the middle. And if you notice, I offset them slightly to give them a bit more dimension. I think the glitter added a very nice effect on the pine boughs. I decided to add some dimension to my card by putting foam tape on the back of my tag. If you prefer to mail a flat card, you could always leave this step out, but I think it always adds a little something. By now, my pine boughs had dried, and I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue to the top of my tag, adding my pine bough. I think it looks really pretty. To hold the pine bough in place while it's drying, I use my tweezers. I have 3 indoor cats who love to jump on top of my craft table. Need I say more? Once the Wink of Stella had dried, I decided to add some Nouveau Jewel Drops. The color I'm using is Strawberry Coulis, and it worked out quite well on top of my bow. Once again, it helps to have the bow somewhat secured onto your scrap paper. Once the bow dried, I added it to the top of my tag using some liquid glue. I added my gingerbread boys and girl to my tag with some liquid glue. They have the cutest outfits that you can tailor to whatever colors you like. I positioned my tag where I thought it would look best on my card front and removed the foam tape backing. Once removed, I added my tag to the front of my card. And that completed my card. My project is part of Poppystamps Blog Blitz. Be sure to check out all the other design team members' blogs because we are giving away a die a day. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you come back soon.